So, we are reading what is the meaning of self-reliance? Wait, complete essay? Is that the name of the essay? It's about self-reliance anyway. What is the meaning of it? Interesting. By Ralph Waldo Emerson. Left some kind of ministry to pursue a career in writing and public speaking. Don't know who that was, but yeah, here we go. We are... Oh, one thing before we start going, though, that I almost forgot was this thing here, and we press this button here, and just start some music. Oh. Trip to Vegas, eh? Alright. What is the meaning of self-reliance? You rely on yourself? So is that kind of don't trust anyone else and do everything? Like, is it DIY? Is that what we're talking about? Do it yourself? Maybe, we'll see. I read the other day some verses written by an eminent painter, which were original and not conventional. Okay? The soul always hears an admonition. Not 100% sure what that means. Admonition. Mild, kind, yet earnest reproof. Cautionary advice or warning. Soul always hear an admonition in such lines. Let the subject be what it may. The sentiment they instill is of more value than any thought they may contain. To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men. That is genius. Wait, what? Note Runner says, hi, I'm new. Oh, nice to see you, Note Runner. How are you doing today? Life treating you well? Sleeping well? Right. To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men. That is genius. Oh. I completely disagree. Well, it is vague, right? This is very vague. I just don't quite understand it, but like... To believe that what you feel, everybody else's feels, that is a road to oppression. You're assuming that everybody works the same way you do, right? Isn't... I don't know about that. No, this is good. I'm just making some chili. Nice. Oh, I haven't had chili in a while. It's about time. Did you enjoy your RuneScape adventure? Sure. I mean, it was a tutorial. It was an MMO. I just... Right, I left off at when I got my first explanation on how the combat system works. With the... When you can automate the stuff and put it in the hotbars and it taking all the stuff to the left, right? That's where I ended off yesterday. Not only says the tutorial is quite boring, but I suppose you gotta do it. Yeah, games like that, gotta do it. I've played a lot of MMOs, so some bits of the tutorial were redundant. Is that the word I'm looking for? But it was fine. It was fine. It's better doing it than not doing it and just guessing around. Yeah, so I think I've done most of the tutorial and like we get to the introduction. What version did you play? The AUR, I'm guessing? Yeah, the AUR indeed. It was fighting with me a little bit. Like the sound didn't work and it was all very weird. That was because it was streaming, right? I hadn't downloaded the whole thing. So it didn't really work from the streaming place. So I just had to download everything, then it worked just fine. Since I had some problem, I was considering having my first foray into flat packs, but it couldn't install the flat pack, and it seems like that was a normal problem with RuneScape, that some days you just can't install it because the versions don't line up in the flat pack and the package, something like that. I didn't spend too much time looking into it. Note says I play the Steam version, which works okay on Proton, but I use Lux Torpeda. What is Lux Torpeda? I haven't seen that before. To play the Linux native version on Steam. I couldn't get the Proton version to start at all. I kind of recognize this thing. Yeah, we've talked about this. That's not... We've talked about this before. Steam Play compatibility tool. Intended to fundamentally reduce... I'm terrible with names. Steam Play compatibility tool to run games using native Linux. Ah, yes. I remember this. We've talked about this quite a bit. Oh, I didn't know that you could do that with RuneScape. But now it works fine, so there we go. This is the stable version, says Note Owner. Alright, so not this one, but this one. Wait, what just happened? Why? It's named after a Polish train. Well, this is weird. It doesn't open for some reason. Ah, whatever. Fine, I'm happy with just the AUR version. Server not found. Yeah, I think that link was not really... Wait, we'll do it like this. Lux Torpeda GitHub. And it's not this one, but it's this one. But this one does not open for some reason. Well, this one... Oh, now it works. That was very strange. This is a great tool that I've had no need for before. Do we have a specific game? Wait, do we have a... Here we go. That's interesting. Whoa, that was big. That's what she said? Could help with other games as well. Ah. This one, there's a lot of games. Oh, there is this D10's fan is doing a lot of work here, eh? Oh, he's doing like all of it. Wait. How does that work? How does that work? Coleman122 says, "Hi, Cider. Nice to see you again, Coleman. How are you doing today?" We're reading about self-reliance today, whatever that is. Sus? Wait, what's sus? Shh. Or is that a... Oh, it's a shh. Dreamer was the original creator. D10's fan is the current maintainer. Alright, so this one is just because he might not be always the contributor. It just happened this way, I suppose. A lot of games here. Old games. Stalker. Not super old games, I suppose. Morrowind. Alright. Speak your latent conviction, and it shall be the universal sense. For the inmost in due time becomes the outmost. And our first thought is rendered back to us by the trumpets of the last judgment. Oh man, this dude, I mean... Banana Wolf Monkey said this was fine, but it's like... so much fancy language. Can you just... It's a lot of, yeah, fancy language. Difficult to decode, difficult to parse. Right? I still have no idea what he's talking about. Like, I read the other day some verses written by an eminent painter, which were original and not conventional. Right? And then he talks about the words he's not saying what they are about. Nodunner says anyone could contribute a package, right? That's what I was thinking. Windows 11 leaked onto 4chan, and now there's video and screenshots of it online. Damn it, I forget we talked about it yesterday, and I was gonna look it up, but I forget. So I'm gonna write it down. Some other things that I learned yesterday is that I might have been mistaken about the Levelhead thing. Levelhead will get a patch within the next few weeks, which might fix it for us as well. We'll see, though. Let's just write it down here. I got that feeling yesterday, you know, that feeling that I'm forgetting something. There was something I was supposed to do. That was the thing. Thanks for reminding me. The Windows 11, yeah. It looks more like Mac OS, what I've heard. We had someone visit, well, I'm terrible with names, that was visiting the stream from Windows 11. Had it installed already, yeah. No, says spoilers. Windows 11 looks just like Windows 10, but the icons are at the bottom bar are centered. Ah, all right. That seems... I wonder what's going on in the background. Why Windows 11 has to be a thing. Coleman122 just smiles. Lol. No. Alright, familiar as the voice of the mind is to each, the highest merit we ascribe to Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they set at naught books and tradition, and spoke not what men, but what they thought. Spoke not what men, but what they thought. I mean, I disagree. Note owner says, I wouldn't install it. Not only because it's Windows, but also because it's a shady ISO released on 4chan. Alright, yeah. Oh. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I can just... Like, I wouldn't live in Windows 11 like that. I have no interest in it. I'll watch some videos just because the memes and the fun, right? Windows 11 being leaked. I find that humorous. I find just, yeah, it's entertainment, right? It's entertainment. Like, I wouldn't go through all that work. But I have no interest in Windows 11, right? So, Note owner says you can just look online at videos of it. There's no reason to install it. I mean, if you would want to explore, like a lot of people would want to explore, I can see some people having reason to. I don't have any, right? I mean, you're never supposed to say never, but I can imagine that I probably will never... I might, but probably will never install Windows on a machine again. I might, like, let's say in 20 years, maybe I actually have done something with my life and created an app or whatever and wanted to run on Windows, then I might put Windows on a spare machine, but I don't see that happening. Note owner says, I had to fix my dad's computer today. It sucks. I hate Windows. Yeah. Well, then you didn't fix the computer, did you? There is a way to fix the computer. Yeah. Make it way better. Make it way more lovely, eh? He had some kind of malware installed. It was like a fake antivirus. Yeah. I haven't... Oh, right. It was Corona. I haven't been fixing any computers since Corona. People don't socialize as much, right? They get computer issues. They don't call me anymore. That's nice. But yeah, a lot of fake antivirus I've seen. I remember one time I had to block my grandfather's credit card because of some scammers. Corona is human malware. Yeah, right? Oh, man. A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. Alright, I'll give this a go, but so far I'm just getting frustrated by this text. Just frustrated. He's using a lot of fancy language to say nothing. A gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within. What are you talking about? Did you just stare straight into the sun? Is that what happened? Give it a go. Give it a go. Yet he dismisses without notice his thought, because it is his. Alright, I'm assuming he's talking about introspection. That you should do introspection, which I'm all for. I'm all for that. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. He's talking about us and like our own that all the time, and I'm like, I don't relate. Talk for yourself, dude. Right? He just assumes that because he thinks it and because he feels this, I have to. Because he sees himself as a genius, doesn't he? Right? What is true for you in your private heart is true for all men. That is genius, right? He thinks that what is true for him in his private heart is true for all men, and that he believes that he is a genius. I'm like, he's really rubbing me the wrong way. Yeah, grinding my gears. This dude. Nodonor says this chili is good. Nice. I dumped a lot of hot sauce in this one. Don't you always? Great works of art have no more affecting lesson for us than this. They teach us to abide by our spontaneous impression with good humor, inflexibility, than most when the whole cry of voices in on the other side. I don't know. Else tomorrow a stranger will say, with masterly good sense, precisely what we have thought and felt all the time, and we shall be forced to take with shame our own opinion from another. I don't see any problem with this. Someone else convinces you of something, right? Then you're convinced, right? That's cooperation. Cooperation for ideas. That's like the best way to build ideas, with cooperation, right? Don't get blinded by this. Here we go. You're getting blinded by the sunshine of your own ideas. We as human beings are terrible at spotting them, like our own biases and the mistakes of our own ideas. So speaking them through with someone else, if they disagree with you, they are way more suited to spot the mistakes and the terribleness of your ideas. So I see no shame in it. And I say, fuck you for saying there is shame in it. In cooperation, maybe. Nodonor says the bottle had like a plastic dopper on top. I ripped that off and just dumped in a ton of good decision. Dumped a ton in. Good decision. Nice. Coleman122 says, I think he's talking us like humans, not us like everyone. Well, when he is talking us like humans, he is talking us like everyone, right? Because I'm a human, he's a human. But I disagree, so... Right? I don't work the same way as he does, right? So his us as human falls flat to my ears. I meant like in general. Exactly, but where am I? Like, where am I? Like humans in general? Nodonor says everyone is not human, so that makes sense to distinguish. Some of us are alcoholic apple juice. Like cider. Nice. Coleman122 also says, and you know, some humans are just programmed, or you could say built different. Yeah, exactly. They're different. I meant like in general, you can't compare everyone the same. Some more five-head, some more pepega. And that is just how it is. That is just hot it is. Yeah, of course, some people are different, but some are the same, right? I can say, well, we all need to eat food. And that works for everyone. I can say we and our for that, right? That makes a lot of sense. I can say we all have to eat food or else we die. I can say that about the human race. I can say about the human race that we often take the path of least resistance. I can say that about the whole human race. Because that is true for everyone. If it's not true for everyone, then he is excluding me from the human race, right? When he speaks like that. That is why he rubs me the wrong way. He's not inclusive, he's exclusive, right? If I'm built another way, then he's excluding me. And my response to that is, well, fuck you for excluding me. Right? Treat me with hostility, I'll treat you with hostility right back, right? That makes a lot of sense. Oh, nice. Note owner says, not everyone needs to eat food. Some people are in a medical situation where nutrients are delivered via an alternative method that I cannot call eating. Damn it. Good point. Good point, Note owner. I actually should have not used that example. I've helped my grandfather. He didn't eat any food for 6 months, I believe. He just plugged it in the stomach, right? He just plugged it in the stomach, and it just... Blasphemous says, why does being excluded upset you? Why it upsets me? Because, like, one interpretation of what's going on, right? My interpretation of what's going on is that he doesn't see me as a full human. And, right? What are you if you're not a human? You're a subhuman. Right? You are less than. That is why I like inclusivity, right? Because looking down at other people just pisses people off. And, right? Plus, I think I'm already pissed because his way of language, right? I don't like the way this dude writes. So I think that has... a bigger reason, right? If we're talking about why I get upset, I think it's the style of writing more than that specific example, maybe. Goldman 122 says, yes, compromises. We are both parties are angry and none are happy, rather than just picking one side. Right. Yes, compromises are where both parties are angry and not happy, rather than just picking one side. Oh, yeah, right? Compromises. Love those. Where one is happy and one is angry. Ooh. I kind of like compromises. But I can imagine sometimes you don't compromise. Blasphemous says, why does it mean you have to be less than? One can be Übermensch? No. That's... Right? Right, because... And you... I mean, I haven't read a lot of Nietzsche per se, but something that is... Like, the reason why a lot of teenagers like Nietzsche is because all the teenagers who read Nietzsche sees themselves as Übermensch, right? And if you see yourself as Übermensch, you see yourself above the rest of humanity. And if you see yourself as above the rest of humanity, like that's narcissism, isn't it? Right? I am better than everyone else. I mean, sure. Not honor says, aren't you equally likely to be superhuman? Maybe. I don't know. Blasphemous asks, what color do you guys use for your cursor in terminal? Not honor says, it depends on my theme set by wall. Right now it's light green. I think it's white? I just made mine the same as my text color and I feel like it's blinding me. That's annoying. What was this thing that started that thing? What was he saying again? Alright, here we go. Yet he dismisses without notice his thought because it is his. Wait, no, that was not the example. You know what? Let's just keep moving. Note owners ask, why don't you change it from a block to an underscore? I'll try that. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance. Is there a time in every man's education where he arrives in this conviction? Is there really? I never thought that before, that envy is ignorance. That imitation is suicide. That he must take himself, for better, for worse, as his portion. Imitation is suicide. No. That is how we learn. That is like imitation and repetition. That is like the basis of learning. What is learning? Learning is growing. Like learning is life, which is kind of the opposite to death. That he must take himself, for better, for worse, as his portion. That though the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. Right. No kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him. All right. So you have to work and someone else has to allow you to work. Very confusing. Blasphemous. I was thinking of what's that one called? The pipe symbol. But I feel that would be barbaric. Barbaric, nice. Blasphemous. Cider, I think reading philosophy just upsets you. I mean, I don't know if I'm really super upset. It's just, so far, this dude, what he is writing out, upsets me. Alright, I wasn't upset by Hume.
Armed? What do you mean, armed? Armed with what? Bad breath, colourful language, feather duster. What do you think
I don't think I was upset by Schopenhauer either, for that matter. Yeah. Maybe. But yeah, sure, it can upset me. It engages me, right? I get engaged. Reading philosophy engages me, Rod. So upsets like in excites, maybe. If you mean that way. Note says, there's a time in every day when the sun rises and sets, unless you live near the poles. It's called a pipe. Yes, the pipe is a pipe. Oh, it is called a pipe. Nice. Why is the pipe barbaric, by the way? You got very upset with Schopenhauer when you were thinking he was talking about something else. No. I did not get very upset with Schopenhauer. I made an interpretation, right? I was reading a text, and I felt like he was doing a terrible job, right? I was criticizing because from my interpretation, he was doing a terrible job. And from that interpretation, it was a terrible job, right? I was actually a little bit proud of myself that I did not bend to your interpretation, Blasphemous. Yeah. That is, in the past, like only a few years ago, I would have bent to your interpretation immediately, right? Because of a lack of self-confidence, right? Someone else's interpretation is always more valuable than mine. But yeah, no, I think both interpretations were valid, right? Blasphemy says, everything sounds like someone is doing a bad job when you misinterpret them. But my argument is it was not a misinterpretation, right? Why would it have been? That was your view, right? You had a different interpretation, therefore my interpretation was wrong. That was your view, not mine. Like, I invoked the death of the author, right? Yeah. I still think both interpretations are valid. You can read it both ways, right? Yeah. Note owner says, I've heard text-to-speech call it a vertical line. It is a good way to troll text-to-speech. Vertical line, vertical line, vertical line, vertical line. Couldn't you, like, do a colon and troll text-to-speech? Dump all the colons? Blasphemous says, cause it became very clear what he was writing about the longer you went, lol. To you, Blasphemous. For your interpretation. Still, it's your interpretation that it was clear about. Like, I completely disagree, right? With your view on that. I completely disagree, Blasphemous, that it became very clear. That actually upsets me a little bit. You invalidating. I feel invalidated when you just say I am wrong and that's just it, right? That upsets me a little bit, yeah. Hurts my feeling a little bit. Blasphemous says, okay, well, you can't really say he was making a bad argument when you just make up interpretations then. But that is what we always do. We always make up interpretations. That is what reading is. That is what listening to someone else's saying is, right? When you read a text, there is no two-way communication, so you cannot have a two-way communication. There is only one-way communication. There's only you and the text, right? So I get your point, right? I cannot, maybe I did that, and that was a mistake on my part. Maybe I accused him of making a bad job. But that was a mistake, right? I shouldn't have done that. It's not about him. It's like, from this point of view, this text is not doing a very good job, right? If, like, from my point of view, right, I was reading a text about it was an argument to legalize suicide, right, or decriminalize at least. And from that point of view, right, if that was the purpose of the text, it did not do a very good job. I would argue, actually, even if you read a text about criticizing the church, and maybe, I don't remember exactly what your interpretation was, would it be fair to say that it was an argument, a supporting argument for the separation of state and church? I would actually say from that purpose, it might not have been the best job either, right? But that's, I have to wrap my own head around that way, right? Note owner says, Harry Potter is a story about my alcoholic step-uncle's divorce and subsequent midlife crisis. Death of the author. Yeah, right. That's, I mean, that's where the language falls short, right? And that is why my language fell short as well, right? Harry Potter, my interpretation of Harry Potter is a story about my alcoholic step-uncle, right? It's about you, it's about the reader, it's not about the text itself. Because you're always an interpreter. That was the to burn in memory, right? The mirror. Always have the mirror. Right. It's not that the argument is bad. It is that this argument does not convince me of this purpose. Blasphemous says, I could just go around saying everyone says that everything everyone says is a bad argument if I just make up something else in regards to what they are saying. Isn't that what you already do, Blasphemous? Like in general? Didn't you say like what 99% of the rest of humanity says? Everything they say is stupid. Isn't that usually what you say? Right? When reading something, I think it is important to figure out what is the writer's intentions. Oh, all right. Which I can get behind that. I can get behind that. I can go behind both approaches, right? But since you can never know, right? The writer's intentions, those are always your interpretations of the author's intentions, right? Since it's no two-way communication, that's my argument, right? There is no two-way communication. Therefore, how do you know what the author's intentions were, right? If you cannot speak to the author, how do you know? Blasphemous says, and I'm usually right. Of course you are right. From your interpretation, you are usually right. From your interpretation, from the 99% of the population, you are usually wrong. Right, Blasphemous? No Donner says, I wasn't there. I don't know if your interpretation was wrong. There is no wrong, that's kind of my point. But regardless, I hope you don't feel bad about it. You're wrong all the time. Yeah, I'm wrong all the time. We're all wrong all the time because an interpretation cannot really be wrong. Right? Blasphemous says because we'll look at the entire context of what is being written. And in what context it is being written, right? That is right. Which is why in that situation, right, it was written so long ago, so you could probably not write a direct, it was probably taboo to write a direct criticism of the church. Why it was veiled and hidden, right? It was hidden between the lines, right? The stuff that your interpretation was hidden in between the lines, right? It wasn't straightforward. The straightforward interpretation, like usually the way that autistic people interpret stuff. We interpret stuff, what does the words say? Like semantically. And semantically, the words in that thing, what I was reading, was about suicide and it being a crime. What if, No Donor says, what if you turned it into a two-way communication by actually talking to the author and asking what they meant? That's a very good idea. He's dead though. He's actually dead. He's not philosophically dead. He's actually dead. I have no access to the author, right? Hello, Banana Wolfman. How are you doing today? He was quite blunt in regards to his disdain of the church. Yeah, it was kind of blunt. Yeah, indeed. But it, like, the title of the text was not separate church and state, right? All right. And I think this is why this frustrates me. Because this frustrates me, right? Because he's writing in a way that is vague and open to many different interpretations. I don't know what to think. Right? The stuff that I do understand, the bits that I do understand, I don't agree with. So far. Right, so far. Right? But I don't understand the context in this one yet. Right? I have no idea. Yet. Right. The power which resides in him is new in nature. And none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. Alright, this is confusing me, because now he's talking about us as we are all unique, right? Unique individuals. Which kind of lends me to believe that I misunderstood something earlier, right? That you don't know what you're capable of until you try. And that kind of makes sense to me, right? Yeah. Can I have a link to catch up? Sure. It's only the first. Like, we're at the second paragraph. This is the introduction. I kind of like understood half of it, maybe. Banana Waffle Monkey says, that seems like an existential argument. Your existence precedes your essences. Ooh, that was a long time ago I heard that. Existence precedes essence. Essence precedes existence. Fuck, I don't remember those arguments at all. Wait, this? You mean that this sounds like an existential? That I did not see. Right, and in my understanding of the context, right, he's talking a lot about introspection and understanding your inner world. I think, maybe. Right, and it's about self-reliance. And before this, he was talking about that you have to do your research, kinda. Do your own work. Actually, I need to just... Existence... I need to just check this. Right. The proposition that existence precedes essence is a central claim of existentialism, which reverses the traditional philosophical view that essence, the nature of a thing, is more fundamental and immutable than its existence. To existentialists... Alright, yeah. Yeah. I recall now. To existentialists, human beings, through their consciousness, create their own values and determine a meaning for their life because the human being does not possess any inherent identity or value. That identity or value must be created by the individual. By posing the acts of that constitute them, they make their existence more significant. I mean, in general, like this convinces me. This last part, I'm not so sure, right? We bring like stuff, right, are not created by us. Like, not all the stuff are created by us. We bring some stuff with us, but I would not call them essence, though. The stuff that we bring with us, they are created by our parents and grandparents and whatnot, right? Genetics, right? We bring genetics with us, I suppose. Where are we at? Note on it. Sips tea. Oh, nice. Did you finish your chili already? That was fast. All right. Not for nothing, one face, one character, one fact makes much impression on him, and another one. This sculpture in the memory is not without re-established harmony. Yeah. It's talking a language I don't parse this. Like, this doesn't look like anything to me. Blasphemous says, I don't think I can change my cursor type in URXVT. Sigh. Well, that's too bad. So many terminal emulators, eh? The eye was placed where one ray should fall, that it might testify of that particular ray. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. It may be safely trusted as a proportionate and of good issues, so it be faithfully imparted. But God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. A man is relieved and gay when he has put his heart into his work and done his best. But what he has said or done otherwise shall give him no peace. It is deliverance which does not deliver. In the attempt of his genius deserts him. Muse befriends, no invention, no hope. This feels objectivist. I get flashbacks to Bioshock. Yeah, I get flashbacks to Bioshock for some reason. I mean, I don't parse it, I just get feelings. I get feelings from this thing, right? I mean, you can get relieved and happy when you put your heart and work and done your best, but if everything goes to shit, right? If the consequences are just shit and it was all for naught, then this falls short, no? Doesn't it? Note on there says URXVT cursor underline 1. Wait, does it work? And blink 1 into X resources. Oh, nice. So it does work, maybe. Banana Wolf Monkey says, yeah, welcome to Transcendentalist / Romantic Vernacular. Wow. I don't like it. I don't like it. Blasphemous says, okay, I think I like that. Thank you. About the underline and blinking. Not about the Transcendentalist Romantic Vernacular. Right. Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Great men have always done so and confided themselves childlike to the genius of their age, betraying their perception that the absolutely trustworthy was seated at their heart, working through their hands, predominating in all their being. And we are now men, and must accept in the highest mind the same transcendent destiny, and not minors and invalids in a protected corner, not cowards fleeing before our revolution, but guides, redeemers, benefactors, obeying the almighty effort and advancing on chaos and the dark. This strategy has been so criticized. That's like all the self-help, right? We look at all the most successful people and we say, well, just do what they do. Just buy a house. Yeah, just buy a house. Right? Am I misunderstanding, or is this just buy a house, the just buy a house argument? I'm guessing. Outowner says, if you're looking for an alternative lightweight terminal, I use this fork of ST. Oh, fork of ST. What is special about this fork then? Some patches applied and other goodies, right? Loads of settings from... Oh, load settings from X resources. Live reloads, has cursor blinking options. Nice. Key bind Alt U for launching URLs with the D menu plus X URLs. Alpha, boxdraw, clipboard. Yeah, I'm looking for I feel like I'm always looking for a new terminal, but I'm thinking that the suckless is actually not my route for terminals. Right. What pretty oracles nature yields us on this text, in the face and behavior of children, babes and even brutes. That divided and rebel mind, that distrust of a sentiment because our arithmetic has computed the strength and the means opposed to our purpose. These have not. Their mind being whole, their eye is as yet unconquered, and when we look in their faces, we are disconcerted. Infancy conforms to nobody. All conforms to it, so that one babe commonly makes 4 or 5 out of the adults who prattle and play to it. So God has armed youth and puberty and manhood no less with its own piquancy and charm, and made it enviable and gracious, and its claims not to be put by if it will stand by itself. Do not think the youth has no force, because he cannot speak to you and me. Hark! In the next room his voice is sufficiently clear and emphatic. It seems he knows how to speak to his contemporaries, bashful or bold. Then he will know how to make us seniors very unnecessary. Is he arguing for instinct behavior? Like that dude. It kind of sounds like he's arguing against rationality and for just instinct, pure instinct, living with nature and whatnot. Maybe. And I kind of like rationality. I don't know if I would... I don't know. It's like, because we find children and teenagers charming, therefore they make more sense. Very confusing. Blasphemous says, that fixed another issue I was having. When I'd typed something in terminal, then moved the cursor backwards, then highlight it with my mouse, I was getting a blank spot in my selection. I recognize that, that's annoying. Now that the cursor blinks, it shows my full text selection when blinked. Nice. Outowner says that ST cursor shape can be set to 4, 2, 4, 6, 7. Oh, and then he shows them the blinking versions. Note says, today I learned there's a middle finger emoji. Nice. The best emoji, eh? The nonchalance of boys who are sure of a dinner and would disdain as much as a lord to do or say ought to conciliate one is the healthy attitude of human nature. A boy is in the parlor what the pit is in the playhouse. Independent, irresponsible, looking out from his corner on such people and facts as pass by. He tries and sentences them on their merits, in the swift summary of the way of boys, as good, bad, interesting, silly, eloquent, troublesome. He cumbers himself never about consequences, about interests. He gives an independent, genuine verdict. You must court him, he does not court you. But the man is, as it were, clapped into a jail by his consciousness. As soon as he has once acted or spoken with eclat, he is a committed person, watched by the sympathy or hatred of hundreds, whose affection must now enter into his account. There is no lethe for this. Ah, that he could pass again into his neutrality. You can thus avoid all pledges in having observe again from the same unaffected, unbiased, unbribable, unfrightened innocence must always be formidable. He's just talking bullshit, he's talking out of his ass. He would utter opinions on all passing affairs which, being seen to be not to be private but necessary, would sink like darts into the ear of men and put them in fear. Yeah, right? He's saying what I think he was saying, right? Listen to no one, just your own instincts. Yeah, because that has always worked out great. Because teenagers are super fucking friendly, right? Teenagers would create the best fucking society. There is this great book about a bunch of school kids being Lord of the Flies, being put on an island. That is this kind of society this dude is arguing for. And he's also arguing don't listen to adults, so the most sensible thing is to listen to him and just stop reading this, because, right, why should we keep reading this? He's saying don't read this, that's pretty much his main thesis. Do I understand that correctly? Would you say that is his intent? I don't know. Banana Waffle Monkey says, too long didn't read. Kids are based. Id-driven, yeah, as opposed to superego. Yeah, exactly. What does this gesture mean? I don't have that. I don't know what... I don't see that emote. It's just a box with numbers in it. Blasphemous says, Blinky makes it easier to spot my cursor in Vim too. Nice. Lord of the Flies. Yeah, exactly. Lord of the Flies. These are the voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and inaudible as we enter into the world. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most requests is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. Actually, I kind of agree with this, yeah. Sure. I just have a completely the opposite opinion on this from him. Yeah. It's a social contract, right? You join into the contract to reap the benefits. Right? I guess I would say that I would have to concede that that's an opinion, right? And not everybody agrees with that opinion. We've been talking about that before, right? That people who don't want to be part of society today don't really have anywhere to go. Right? And that is kind of unfair. So I mean, I would concede that there should be places where people can choose to just live with nature, right? Just pillage and, I don't know, pillage, rape, do whatever the fuck you want, whatever your instinct tells you. Outside of society, there has to be like a border, right? For people who wants to join into social contracts. Yeah, a tiered society would make a lot of sense, right? A tiered society where that you have more strict contracts, right? You have the most strict contracts, and then you have lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser, and then there are places where there are no social contracts, no rules, no nothing, right? Pure anarchy. A tiered society, like a tiered structure like that, societal structure, would make a lot of sense, right? Because right now, as it is right now, he has a point, right? He does not like these social contracts, and they are forced upon him, and that is unfair.
Armed? What do you mean, armed? Armed with what? Bad breath, colourful language, feather duster? What do you think the...
Notrunner shows another emoji. Have you installed emoji supporting font? No, I have not, right? I don't think I've really installed any types of fonts. I haven't really spent any time in looking into fonting at all, right? Alright. Thank you. He gives me this. There we go. Pac-Man is Notive Fonts emoji. There we go. Damn it. Always forget. Sure. Right, now I have. I'm guessing I would have to restart Firefox for them to actually start working. Calman122 says question mark. Oh no, they started working without any restart. I didn't have any fonts, Calman122. It was just question marks, right? I didn't have any fonts. Can't you just use the BTTV ones? I don't know what BTTV ones are. Notrunner says that's fantastic, yeah. Yeah, it is fantastic, right? I don't see what it is. It just looks like a mango. Yeah, I see it. It looks like a mix between a mango and banana. Okay, can I zoom in? Oh, it's this. It was so small, I didn't see it. But it's this. Pitched fingers. Yeah, I zoomed in. I zoomed in so I could see it. And that one is easy to see. So what is BTTV? That's finger curl. Yeah. And I zoom in again. And I have this one, which is like the Italian one. Oh wow, is that racist? I don't know. Then we have, that's okay, right? Like you're making a purse with your hand. Right. Alright. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. right? If you're a conformist, you're lesser than, right? That attitude pisses me off, right? There are people who will be conformist and there are people who will be non-conformist, right? You're shaped by your DNA and your experience. I mean, a lot of people a lot of people, we got the Ash experiment I'm thinking of here, right? The Ash experiment. Ash conformity, right? We have this. People will conform. That's just part of human nature. That is how we work. And the people who are like this, who will say that they are all the same length, right? There are people who will say that. They are not less than. They are just a different type of human, right? There are different types of humans, and saying that a man must be one way or the other is invalidating all others. That is why it angers me, because like in my history I've been invalidated over and over and over and over again. So that is why it pisses me off. I don't like to feel invalidated and looked down upon. So therefore I don't like when other people, that is why I get an emotional reaction, right? Because I empathize with the people that are looked down upon. Right? I even get from that JCS psychology, those interviews, when the narrator adds his notes when he looks down and talks smack about the murderers. I get pissed at him, and I empathize with the murderers, and I feel sorry for them for being looked down upon, which is kind of fucked up, right? That is, in the words of Dr. K, balls of undigested emotions, eh? Balls of undigested emotions. People looking at me as less than. That pisses me off. Oh, wow. BTTV is an extension you install, and you can use the BTTV emotes. All channels that also uses this. Oh, it's for Twitch. BTTV. It's a Twitch extension. Ah. No, I don't understand. It is the Italian one, yeah. There are also global emotes. Yeah, all these emotes I see. Skull and Bones and the Black Flag and whatnot. Plasma says, I don't know if that works. I don't have emoji support in my terminal. And then we have a lot of colored squares. No black square. Oh no, there is the black square, yeah. And then emoji, oh man. Plasma says, okay, but although all three of those lines are not the same. 3 lines? Bruh. Yep. Don't use BTT, use franker faces. Why not use both? Or why not neither? I mean, I see the emotes here. 50 emotes easy, clap. Did my pirate flag work? Yes. The pirate flag, well, it was just a black flag, and right, it was a black flag and there was a skull and bones next to it. For me, anyway. Now donors links to franker faces. Twitch enhancement suite. Get custom emotes and have ton of new features you'll never want to go without. I suppose. Or better TTV, or both of them. I mean, these kind of feel like bloat, don't they? They feel like bloat. Maybe? Wait. You see Feels Bad Man as an emote? No. Like, all the stuff you do, like the Feels Bad Man, the Pepega, and the claps, And the easy clap and the stuff like that, I see it all as text. Callman 122. Always seen it as text. Yep, clap. That's why I read it out, because I only see the text. Not Honor says, it's not for viewing emoji. It does add emotes, but that's the least of what it can do. Alright. Lastman says, I think of it as a feature that I don't have emoji or emotes, Kappa. Yeah, like part of me wants to go back to WeChat. Comment says, oh, feels bad, man. Alright, I'll just install them. Alright, I'll install them. Here we go. Enhance Twitch. Get both. Add to Firefox. Right, add. It's added. Alright, we add this as well. Wait. Download. Oh, here we go. Continue to installation. Add. Alright, there we go. We're getting all the bloat. Alright, the bloat is here. I don't know if I need to refresh. Yeah, refresh. Alright, let's refresh. I'm refreshing. Still see it as text though. Weird. Oh, now it works. Ah, Monkas. Yeah, now it works. Just worked after the refresh, not before, Lastman says, I wasted an hour changing all my cursors everywhere. Kappa, wait. All my cursors everywhere? Wasted? No Donor says, Pranker Faces is not bloat. BTTV is bloat. Sure, No Donor. That sounds very trustworthy. Colin says, what's your problem? If anything, FFZ is bloat. Okay, I see what it is. Like, I got both of them, right? I have no vested interest in either of those. They're both bloat, okay? Both of them are bloat. And we just bloated it all up. Nice. He would gather immortal palms. Wait, he who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Immortal palms? I don't know what that means. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. I remember an answer which, when quite young, I was prompted to make a valued adviser, who was wont to importune me with the dear old doctrines of the church. Oh, he dislikes the church as well, right? He doesn't mind God, but he dislikes the church. A lot of philosophers not liking the church, eh? No Donor says, Nightdev makes shitty utilities. BTTV sucks and Nightbot sucks even worse. Wow, that's some harsh words, Node Runner. Harsh words indeed. Blasphemous asks, Cider, did you fix RuneScape? It was the download thing. It's not Java anymore. They have... yeah, it's not Java anymore, so that was not the issue. It was just the download thing. I just downloaded the whole thing, and then it worked. Both the sounds and the stuttering. Well, that was it. It was just a... I guess it was streaming the game. And that was the problem. But it seems to be working fine now, yeah. Coleman says, with BTTV you can even have animated emotes. They did not remove POG-related emotes for no reason, just because Twitch did. I mean, they did have a reason, right? You might think it was a bad reason, but there was a reason, right? People always have a reason for their actions. Or... after the fact, they would have claimed to have a reason, even if they didn't. Well, and even if the reason they claim is not the one that they still have had some reason, right? Right? Like my reason for being shitty about this text has nothing to do with the text. It has to do with stuff that happened in my childhood, right? I get pissy about this stuff because I've been treated badly in my childhood. Therefore, I get pissy about this. So even if I claim it's the text or bad arguments or whatever, that is not the thing that triggers my emotion. But there's still a reason. Nodonor says you can have animated emotes with FZ and it supports all of BTTV emotes as well. Oh, right, so BTTV became bloat since I installed the Frank thing. Alright. Coleman says, sure. Nodonor says, in fact, it supports all features that BTTV supports and more. So that FFZ is more bloat than Nodrunner. Alright, so Coleman, I'm on your side. Yeah. FFZ is more bloat because it has more features. It's more bloated, right? While having both is super bloated because it just doesn't do anything. Go and search up Weird Champ? Well, that was not an emote. And see if you can find the original Pog face guy, Weird Champ. Coleman continues, if anyone uses BTTV only for the bot, then they should just make their own bot. I have my own bot. Blasphemous says, I regret reading why that emote was removed. It's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Right. On my saying, what have I to do with the sacredness of traditions? If I live wholly from within? My friend suggested, but these impulses may be from below, not from above. I mean, I don't like where this is coming from, but I kind of agree, right? Don't you, like, he's saying to hell with all ethics, and I'm not for that, but yeah. I replied, they do not seem to me to be as such, but if I'm the devil's child, I will live then from the devil. Yeah, right? If you change it around, right? He can answer it because it comes from there. But if you just say, like, to hell with all ethics, then what he's saying, like, it's not about living with the devil, then it's just fuck everybody else, the only one who cares is me. And that's very narcissistic, and right? Narcissistic stuff leads to suffering, right? He's arguing for pure narcissism. Right? That's my understanding, right? That this whole text is about arguing for living as a pure narcissist. And yeah, sure, maybe for an individual, if that makes you happy, that makes sense for you, but like, ethics is never about making you happy. Ethics is always about, right, more like how you act towards other people, right? And ethics tend to always be restrictive, right? Ethics is about what not to do. No law can be sacred to me, but that of my nature. Yeah, right. Like, it doesn't have to be sacred, right? You cannot break, like, all laws of humans can be broken. Yeah, they can be, right? The laws created by humans can be broken. That's very, very easy to break those. Laws of nature can't. So I would agree with that, maybe. Blasphemous says that narcissism is the pursuit of gratification from vanity or egotistic admiration of one's idealist self-image and attributes. Right? Isn't that kind of what he's arguing for? That is what I see anyway, right? Live wholly from within. Pursuit of id, right? Id instead of superego. Just gratification. Vanity. Egoistic admiration, right? Those things that feels good. It's not even hedonism, right? Or is it hedonism he's arguing for? It could be hedonism. It's difficult to say. No, it's not hedonism. Hedonism would be a law of humans, right? Maybe? I don't know. Good and bad are but names very readily transferable to that or this. That I agree with. The only right is what is after my constitution. The only wrong is against it. That I agree with though, right? But we can get convinced, right? There are people smarter than us. Right? Well, not even smarter than us. There are people that can teach us stuff. That can evolve these ideas. Instead of that of a child, right? The ideas of a child is, in my mind, nothing to strive for. A man is to carry himself in the presence of all opposition, as if everything were titular and ephemeral but he. Right? Yeah. Only I matter, right? That is what he's saying. So it is pure narcissism he's arguing for. Right? Everything is ephemeral but he. I am ashamed to think how easily we capitulate to badges and names, to large societies and dead institutions. Every decent and well-spoken individual affects and sways me more than is right. He says 2 sentences after saying that the only thing that is right is what is in my constitution. I ought to go upright and vital, and speak the rude truth in all ways. Your truth, yeah. Because your truth is everything that matters. No one else's. If malice and vanity wear the coat of philanthropy, shall that pass? Depends on the consequences, right? If an angry bigot assumes this bountiful cause of abolition, and then comes to me with his last news from Barbados, why should I not say to him, go love thy infant, love thy wood chopper, be good-natured and modest, have that grace, and never varnish your hard uncharitable ambition with this incredible tenderness for black folk 1,000 miles off. Thy love afar is spite at home. That's a false binary. Rough and graceless would be such a greeting, but truth is handsomer than the affection of love. All right. That, like, that doesn't compute. Not with what he said before, right? Just like right is just what's in your mind, truth is just what's in your mind, right? Yeah, it's like The other person, the one that you greet, their truth doesn't matter. It's only your truth, no one else's. Your goodness must some edge to it, else it is none. The doctrine of hatred must be preached as the counteraction of the doctrine of love, when that pulses and whines. Must be? Banana Waffle Monkey says, truth is handsomer than the affection of love? Oof. I mean, I kinda agree, though. I prefer to know. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, right? If I had a spouse, and said spouse cheated on me, I would prefer to know. But this dude is arguing for only his truth, right? It's only what he cares about, only his truth. No one else matters, right? Banana Waffle Monkey says, I was taking it to mean that being right is more important than the consequences for being right. Yeah, right? Sure, that is what he's saying, but he's also saying that being right, like, he has been convinced by Hume's guillotine, right? That being right, like, he is the only one that can be right. Everyone else is wrong. That is what he's saying, right? Just for the sake of being alive. He is always right. Everybody else is always wrong. And you should always tell your truth, right? He is always right. And he should always tell, right, whatever he thinks. That is the truth. And he, like, from this logic, as far as I understand it, he cannot be wrong. So he can say whatever the fuck he wants, right? He can say whatever the fuck he wants, right? And from his ethical point of view, right? It's a lack of an ethical point of view. If you take ethics to be about how to treat others, right? Then this whole thing is just rejecting the idea of ethics, which is frustrating to me, right? I'm looking forward to see some arguments for the rejection of ethics. I suppose the argument is that he's actually doing that straw man that religious people do towards atheists, right? Because you don't believe in God, you will do all these terrible things. He's the flip side of that. He's saying, I shall do all these terrible things because there is no God. I'm pretty sure. Which I suppose, I mean, if you come, like you said, he's probably coming from existentialism, right? He's just having the opposite. No, he's having his solution to the existential crisis is that fuck everything, nothing matters, only I matter. Yeah. He's the Nietzschean nihilist, right? Not caring about anything but himself. So maybe it's nihilism he's arguing for rather than narcissism. We'll see. Actually, I'm getting more and more invested the further along we get. The lintels of the doorpost I would write on whim. Wait. Fuck, I missed. Rough and graceless, yeah. Your goodness must have some edge to it, else it is none. The doctrine of hatred must be preached as the counteraction of the doctrine of love, when that pulses and whines. I shun father and mother, and and wife and brother when my genius calls me. Yeah, fuck everybody else. The lintels of the doorpost I would write on whim. Lives on a whim, yeah. Testing tests is now done. Banana Waffle Monkey says, I had to read this damn thing twice. Had to? And then you force it upon me, so it's a third thing for you now. That's your own fault. What's the test, Nordrunner? It is somewhat better than whim. It is somewhat better than whim at last, I hope, but we cannot spend the day in explanation. Expect me not to show cause why I seek or why I exclude company. Then again, do not tell me, as a good man did today, of my obligation to put all poor men in good situations. This is the similarity to the objectivist, right? Are they my poor? I tell thee, thou foolish philanthropist, that I grudge the dollar, the dime, the cent I give to such men as do not belong to me and to whom I do not belong. There is a class of persons to whom all spiritual affinity I am bought and sold. For them I will go to prison, if need be, but your miscellaneous popular charities, the education at college of fools, the building of meeting houses, to the vain end to which many now stand, alms to sots, the thousandfold relief societies, though I confess with shame I should succumb and give the dollar. It is a wicked dollar, which by and by I shall have the manhood to withhold. Yeah, that's like, again with the narcissism, right? That's the similarity with objectivists, because objectivists did the same, right? They were arguing for acting from pure narcissism, I think. Banana Waffle Mike says, once in high school, once in my American literature class in college. Look at that. Nodan says, sorry, I was just tweaking my Twitch chat using the cornucopia of features that Franker Faces Z provides. Nice, no need to apologize. That's fine. I was assuming you were testing something, right? Testing test? I was just curious of what you were testing. But you were testing a cornucopia of things, eh? Banana Waffle Monkey says, I think this is partly a reaction to capitalism. This? Partly, yeah. Of course, right? He rejects the dollar. And he rejects the... It's not only the capitalism, it's the socialistic bits of capitalism, right? It's that you have to pay taxes. Which is not necessarily a part of capitalism, right? But I would say, yeah, right? I grudge the dollar, the dime, the cent I give to such men that do not belong, right? It doesn't have to be taxes, right? It's just like, why do I have to pay for a potato when I can just take it from them, right? If I'm stronger than someone, I can just take their food. Why would I have to pay for it? So yeah, it's probably capitalism as well. Nodan says, did you know that Franker Faces is free and open source? I did not know that. Is BTTV not free and open source? Was this? Oh yeah, I'm not getting that actually. I want to put the... I think I already have that somewhere. It's all the bookmarks that I'm never looking at. Alright, so which license is it? License. GNU. Apache. Not GNU. Not good enough. Not good enough. Better TTTV. Better TTV is open source but not free. Right. Can I like... I guess since we have both, it would be... how do we remove it? More tools? Ah, it's fine, it's fine. No, it says free to modify for personal use. Need permission to distribute the code. Can't sell add-on or feature of the add-on.
That has never breathed deep the sweet, proliferous bouquet that is Tortuga.
That sounds like definitely a cathedral, not a market, right, Nordrunner? Nordrunner says, disgusting. I spit on this unfree software. I hope you're not actually spitting on your computer. I think that's a mistake. Hopefully you have a like watertight case so you don't get a lot of spit on the motherboard. Oh. Virtues are, in the popular estimates, rather the exception than the rule. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And if you're gonna highlight some virtues, you would highlight virtues that you would want to see become the norm. Right? Isn't that the whole point of having the idea of virtues in mind? There is the man and his virtues. Men do what is called a good action, as some piece of courage or charity, much as they would pay a fine in an expiation of daily non-appearance on parade. Their works are done as an apology or accentuation of their living in the world, as invalids and the insane pay a high board. This dude. Banana Waffle Mike says, if you don't spit on your computer, how else are you supposed to cool it down? Ooh. No, says, I'm not spitting on my computer. I'm printing out the source code. Blasphemous says, good idea for toilet paper. Nice. You can take the Windows 11 binary, print that, and then use it as toilet paper. Oh man, that is so rude. I used the Bible as toilet paper once in my teenage years, you know, just because. Didn't feel very good, yeah, no. And then I burnt the rest of the Bible. Such an edgelord. Fucking teenagers. Alright. Their virtues are penances. I disagree. To make someone else happy, right? To contribute, to... Yeah, right. The reason people tell jokes is because people laugh. Because when you get someone else's laugh, that feels good. That is not a penance. It's not a penance to make people happy. or feel better about themselves. Yeah. From the eye of the narcissist, I could understand why they see that. And, right, it does have a point again, right? When it is forced upon you, that is kind of fucked. Yeah, when it's forced upon you, like someone else's ethical rules forced upon you, right? Some of them, but usually, but again, ethics usually is about don'ts, right? Virtues then are stuff that you don't do. So it's not about having a penance, it's just like not doing something rather than doing something. A penance is usually doing something, no? I don't know. Blasphemous says, I read a post about Windows 11 and it's even worse when it comes to privacy. He was running something to monitor traffic and I was like, I am typing this more stuff. He was running something to monitor traffic and was like, I am typing this more stuff. Right, keylogger, yeah. Wait, so there is no keylogger? Well, I have just lived with the assumption that Windows 10 has a keylogger, right? So more traffic doesn't, like, it just, they send it more often. Right? They can collect the data and then they send it like all the time. Or they just send it, like, they can send chunks every 5 minutes. Maybe they did before, right? But I suppose just sending it all the time, in real time, I suppose that is worse for privacy. Banana Wolf Monkey asks for a definition of penance, which it says was remorse for your past conduct. Oh, I thought penances was something you did, not something you had. Banana Wolf Monkey says, I think he's saying that the things we tend to consider good are the things that don't make us feel guilty after doing them. Things we do are things that don't make us feel guilty after doing them. That confused me even more. And guilt is usually looking at yourself from an outside perspective, right? His perspective is that there should be no guilt. So he's talking about other people, what other people sees as good as... Right, yeah, because he doesn't like virtues. Okay, yeah, he doesn't like virtues. So he says that the thing that we consider good are dumb because that is stuff that makes us feel guilty, and those guilty feelings comes from society's norms that has been pushed upon us. Is that your interpretation? And then another definition of penance, a Catholic sacrament, repentance and confession and atonement and absolution. Yeah, that's the thing I thought penance was. Yeah, the Catholic thing. Banana Waffle Monkey says, i.e. it feels bad to kill people, so we consider killing people bad. It doesn't for everyone, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily feel bad to kill people. Right? Like, if, like, the type of person who would enjoy killing people would be on the narcissistic side, right? Blasphemous says, imagine how fun it would be if all that data leaked. Oh. I mean, I don't even think... fun is not enough. I think it would be great if all that data leaked. Because that would be such a blow to Microsoft and such a boon for open source, free and open source software, right? It would be such a boon for free and open source software if all that data leaked. Banana Waffle Monkey continues. For some people, sure, and we have words for those people to describe that they aren't the norm, and we don't want them in general society. But his argument, right? His argument is... the works are done as an apology. Right? He is saying, no, I think I disagree, right? As an apology or accentuation of their living in the world, right? They have to apologize for what they are, right? That kind of implies that you do stuff that you don't want to do because the thing that feels good you're not supposed to do. It's invalids and the insane pay go high board. Their virtues are penances. I do not wish to expiate, but to live. My life is for itself and not for a spectacle, right? Yeah. Blasphemous says, imagine all the nudes. Do I have to imagine all the nudes, Blasphemous? Right. I think, I'm pretty sure. If I spend the rest of my waking days, the rest of when I'm awake, the rest of all of the time, not when I'm eating and stuff like that, sitting about in front of the computer and just watching for looking at nudes, I'm probably sure I could spend the rest of my life looking at new nudes all the time. Right? If we could sort them in such a way that I could look at all the available nudes without having to see a nude twice. If we could sort them that way. Banana Waffle Monkey says, I can see that. The second fappening arises. Don't you think there are those many nudes already? So I don't have to imagine. I can just, but I suppose I can imagine, yeah. Blasphemous says, okay, well, there are some nudes that you wouldn't want to imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Damn it. Flashbacks. Fucking trolls on the internet. There are some nudes that yeah. But actually, those are things that it's not better to know. It's not better to know. Yeah, speaking of, right? I tried that movie you recommended. The Pink Flamingos. Not for me. It was not for me. I really tried. I think I managed like somewhere in between 20 and 30 minutes. But it's like, I couldn't take it anymore. Did you see the chicken part? I don't think I saw the chicken part. I came to the part where he tied a sausage to his sausage, and that's like, alright, I've seen enough. That was just, I've seen enough. I saw the thing in the basement with the child. I don't think I saw the chicken part, no. What was it about? I don't fucking know. It's like, the feeling I got was that I have never watched The Room, and I have no interest in watching The Room. That was the feeling I had from that movie. Was it worse than Clockwork Orange? Wait, worse? I don't know. I enjoyed Clockwork Orange, so I don't know what you mean. He used a chicken to fuck a lady. I did not see that. In terms of shock value. Oh wow, does Clockwork Orange has a high shock value? Maybe it does. But it's a different type of shock value. Right? Clockwork Orange. there is stuff going on in the back, but this movie felt like shock value just for the sake of shock value. Blasphemous asks, what streaming services do you have? You mean for movies and whatnot? Well, I don't have any. I just hijack my father's, so I don't pay for any. But I don't quite know. You have access to any Gaspar Noé? I have no idea what that is. Gaspar Noé. Actually, what is this? Oh, it was a dude who made films, eh? Stand Alone. Enter the Void. I think I've seen Enter the Void. It's a lot of movies. I mean, probably, I guess. Got access to a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Huh. Like Netflix, HBO Nordic, and I know he switches them around, right? He keeps like 2 active, but he switches around oftentimes. So like when I want to use the streaming services, I have to ask like, oh, is this one active at the moment? Or I'll just try. Lasma says, do you remember Enter the Void as being like an acid trip? I've never had an explicit acid trip. But I suppose that was the point, right? It was very out there, spacey. So maybe, I don't know. Like I haven't been on any proper, like really spaced out psychedelic trip, so I wouldn't know. Blasphemous says, I'm sad Criterion channel does not work on Linux. It has some really strange DRM. That's sad. Blasphemous says, I've never done acid, but what you'd imagine it would be like. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like I would imagine. Like I've tasted a couple of mushrooms. I've been seeing some of the waviness people talk about, right? But not like a trip like that. And I've seen a lot of psychedelic other stuff, right? There's a lot of psychedelic art and movies and whatnot that I've seen. And it feels like that, sure. Banana Waffle Monkey says, I tried it once, but it didn't do anything. Then you didn't try it once, no. Maybe I had a blank hit? Probably, yeah. Didn't pay for it, thankfully. Is it that expensive? 1 hit? It's one thing I want to do someday in my life. Like do a proper, all-out, spaced-out, balls to the wall psychedelic trip. One day. In the future. Someday. Actually, no. Of course I'm not going to do that. That's illegal. I would never do anything illegal. I think you just imagined stuff. Alright. I much prefer that it should be of a lower strain, so it be genuine and equal, than that it should be glittering and unsteady. Wish it to be... Oh, wait. What should be a lower strain? So it be genuine and equal life? Then it should be glittering and unsteady. Wish it to be sound and sweet and not need diet and bleeding. The primary evidence I ask that you are a man and refuse this appeal from the man to his actions. For myself it makes no difference that I know whether I do or forbear those actions, which are reckoned excellent. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have intrinsic right. But you always have intrinsic right. That's what you said. He said that earlier. He said, I always have intrinsic right. Not in those words, but that is what he said, right? Few and mean as my gifts may be, I actually am and do not need for my own assurance or the assurance of my fellows any secondary testimony. Yeah. For me, I feel that the betterment of the species and the improvement of the species is a worthwhile effort. I think science is a worthwhile effort. And, right, you stand on the shoulders of the work of the people, what they did before you, right? You build upon what others have already done, right? Someone has taught this dude to read and write, to speak and language, right? Those were not his, right? Those are language itself is secondary testimony, right? I prefer having language rather than not having language. It's my counter argument to this. As well as an example of a counter, like, yeah. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. Yeah. Alright. So I'm curious, Banana Waffle Monkey. You got to read this twice in school. What was the context, right? Why did they want you to read this? Was it to... I mean, no, what I'm wondering is, what did the teachers think? I mean, I guess this must be very appealing to a teenager, right? This must be very appealing to a teenager. Blasphemous says, screw what the teacher thinks. I'm curious. What was the teacher's objective? Right? A teacher like this either agrees or disagrees, right? Like, joke within the context of the essay. Screw what the teacher thinks. Oh, nice. I missed that joke. Right? When I had students read stuff, right? I had them read 1984 because I think they, like... I was open with, I'm very biased and think that this is a political good thing to have, right? I was very open about that and saying that it's... Actually, I now that I think back, I maybe shouldn't have. Or, like, maybe a teacher should never force what to read on students. Like, in this kind of literature sense, there should be choices. What to read. To his argument, right? There is what some other people think, right? Some other person decided what you should read as a child and a teenager. And that influences you. Of course it does. It influences you. Which means that the teacher has that type of influence. And... Fucking canon. Banana Waffle Monkey says, in high school it was within the context of the Transcendentalist unit. In college it was within the context of how this essay shaped the American identity. Oh wow. Blasphemous asked, did you watch the older 1984 film from the 50s? I did not watch any of the films, no. Is it any good? Should I watch it? Right, like, I read the book. I did not enjoy 1984. Like, it was not an entertaining experience. It was a useful experience, right? That someone else had, right? someone else's idea that I could build my own ideas upon. But it was not enjoyable, and I was thinking, like, in a film, in a movie, probably a lot of those ideas would get lost, right? It would just be about the story, and the story is like, I've not been interested in the films. Banana Waffle says, I think this essay was 1841. Nice. America having not been a century old yet, and this essay was pretty popular. Fucking teenagers. Blasphemous says, I was going to ask you what you think is more effective, putting the location in a very fantasy dystopian world or a location that resembles the real world you live in. Effective? Effective. It depends on what your purpose is. Like, I have a tendency to go to the extreme, right? And I have a bias because I like fantasy books. I've read a lot of fantasy books and I like that stuff. And I like, fantasy and sci-fi stuff. And like, if you're trying to make a point, that you can make a lot of extreme thought experiments within a fantasy setting, but I wouldn't say that it necessarily follows. Yeah. I wouldn't say it necessarily follows. If that makes sense. I think you can use, right. So I would say neither, probably. Neither. It depends on the purpose of the author and how good the author is at achieving said purpose. So probably neither, yeah. Lastman says, I think when people think of dystopian, they think of what you'd see in the 80s 1984 film. I think it's more effective to make a dystopian world in the same world you see every day. Oh, like Black Mirror, for example. Right. If you're trying to make a political statement, then probably, yeah, I would probably... Right? It would depend, right? It would still depend, but you could probably get a bigger impact with a more... the closer the world you recognize, right? Because fantasy, it's further removed, right? It's further removed. If it looks like the life you're actually living, if it looks like what you already have, it's easier to compare it to your own life. Blasphemous says, we do not need to be living in poverty and filth to be in a dystopian world. But the idea of dystopian as well, right? Dystopia and utopia in itself, right? Dystopia-like, maybe, right? Because living in poverty and filth, if that is all that it takes, then our world is a dystopia, right? But dystopia, in the same regard as utopia, it's like when you go to the very extreme of the worst things you can imagine. So it's always a fantasy, right? It's not achievable in that sense. Banana Waffle Mix says, fantasy would probably be easier to digest for people who would just shut off if they saw a more realistic one. Yeah, right. If you like fantasy, it would be better for entertainment, right? Because it would be more far removed. It would not be as much in your face. The politics could be... you could overlook. So for sales, maybe fantasy would... Especially since fantasy is popular now. So fantasy would maybe be more effective in that sense. Blasphemous says, Black Mirror did a good job with a dystopian in a modern, everyday world. In some episodes. Yeah, in some episodes, right? And they did sci-fi fantasy stuff as well, right? Black Mirror did that as well. And they did a good job on some of those and a bad job on others. So I think that just the setting, it has impact for sure, but not a super big impact necessarily. Yeah. Banana Wolfmonk says, me reading Animal Farm. Oh my god, they're being treated like animals. Wait, they are animals. But they're allegorical representations of people. I haven't read Animal Farm. I hear good things. It's kind of racist, isn't it? It's gotta be. Since allegorical representations of people are different animals. I mean, well, it doesn't have to be, but like if it was written and became popular today, a lot of people would call it racist. Animal Farm is short and transparent. Nice. Maybe I'll read it someday. I'll probably read it someday. This rule, I mean, part of me feels that I'm misunderstanding something he's doing because it feels super easy to poke hole on everything he says. It feels super easy to poke hole, but that kind of implies to me that I'm misunderstanding something, right? Because earlier he was saying, right, no rules, only my own, right, my own instincts, right? That is what he's arguing for. So following any rule would break, right? That's... Actually, let's read the full thing, maybe. Blasphemous says, I don't need to hate minorities when I can hate majority. Wait, that's... Racism, it's not about minorities or majorities. It's just about people who are different. Also, I wouldn't call your hate racism, no. But I think, right, I don't think like ethnicity or skin color matters to you, Blasphemous. I haven't gotten that idea anyway. Yeah. Wait. Fuck, what does ethnicity mean again? Cultural background, right? Yeah. Blasphemous says, I have my taste in what I like to date, but that's about it. But that's not racism either. That's just personal preference. Some people like bananas, some people like apples. It's like... Yeah, I have not gotten that from you at all. Some people might consider that racist. Alright, so in my mind, racist is when you say, well, all those people with this ethnicity are all the same. And usually you take a negative undertone, right? Because it's them, they are bad, right? Well, my interpretation of your tastes in what you like to date was not, right? That was not all them are bad. Kind of, well, that was an assumption on my part, but I assumed, like, aesthetically, like what you find pleasing to look at, or touch, or, you get my point, right? Like, we could say, for example, maybe you don't want to date fat people, or you do want to date fat people, right? That's a preference. That's not a judgment on their personality and just saying all fat people are the same. It's just You don't like fat people, or you like fat people. Like, either way, it doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't like slim people, right? It doesn't matter what your taste is. It still wouldn't say it's close to racism. That's my definition of the thing. And I suppose other people have...
They put oxygen masks on planes so you can breathe. Oxygen gets you high.
I suppose other people have other ideas of what is racist. So, yeah. Alright. Ethnicity, according to the dictionary, is an ethnic quality or affiliation resulting from racial or cultural ties. There we go. Yeah. I suppose... Right? I suppose I would do the same. I would prefer not to date someone religious. Isn't that, like, kind of racist then? Because it's based on... I'm not saying that all religious people are the same, but they have a similarity that I would not like. It's part of cultural heritage that I'm not interested in having in my own life. So maybe. I don't know. Does that make everybody racist? I don't know. Banana Wolf Monkey says, apples are better. Eat those, not bananas. That's bananalism. That's banal. I think it's a banal thing to eat bananas. I'm gonna eat a banana later today. I am. So tasty. Banana bread. Ooh, that's very nice. Blasphemous says, I would date a kind of fat girl if she had a nice face. And there you go. Kind of fat girl. So a big boned girl, not a fat girl, like. But there is a limit, right? To the... Actually, fat girl might not have a nice face if it's filled with fat. If that is your preference, right? Banana Waffle Monkey says, I wouldn't. No says, I'm heading to bed. Have a nice stream. Oh, thank you. Have a nice night. And see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Banana Waffle Monkey says, well, it depends on how fat, right? But that makes my point, right? There is a limit. Right? There is a preference. Blasphemous is like under 160 pounds. Something like that. Banana Waffle Monkey says, that doesn't mean anything without a height. Also, muscles weigh more than fat, right? So I hear. Blasphemous says, I've met a couple of women that fit that, but had a really nice face. I actually had a lot of fun with her. She was nice and open-minded. Don't like muscular. Banana Waffle Monkey says 160 pounds at 5 feet. It's a lot different than 160 pounds at 6 feet. Yeah. Feet, yeah. I think, yeah, that's just personal preference. And I can see what you say, right? Like, some people could call that racist, but that's like... My argument that, sure, if you define it as racism, you can do, but I would say it's not harmful to society, that type of racism. Right? Let's say the super more racist people, right? Let's say people that say, like, old people from China are terrible and I don't want to date them. Like, say someone like that, right? When it comes to the politics of the thing, that is when the racism becomes harmful, right? If it's just one, or when it comes to, I don't know, job applications, you know, like stuff that happens out in society. If it happens in the home, and if it happens only in your home, and it's just you not inviting someone to your home, that type of racism is like, is that harmful? I mean, if you go by the idea that ideas are harmful. Right, let's say we don't like to... let's say I don't like to date fat people. Maybe I don't want to invite fat people into my home. It's a difference. There is something very different, right? Right? There's one thing of saying, oh, I refuse to like approve of fat people existing and inviting them to my home. It's a completely different thing to say I don't want to date a fat person, right? I can't put my finger on the specific difference, right? It's a significant part of your life, right? It's first, you're letting people into your personal space. There we go, right? It's about personal space. And I'm all for personal space, I think. Yeah. Blasphemous says, I liked it when thin was trendy. I thought you liked it when people didn't follow the trends. So the trends doesn't matter, Blasphemous? Banana Wasmike says, it's a powerful indication of your overall health moving forwards, and I'd just like to not have to worry about that. Ah, that's one point. Personally, I'm fine with just I'm not attracted to that. Blasphemous says, I don't invite anyone over unless it's for sex. Kappa. What about I don't want to invite this fat person to the barbecue? That's an economical decision, right? It is. Well, it's not racist because it's not a cultural or ethnical thing. Right? Because a fat person, that's not an ethnicity. So it's not racist, but it would be the equivalent of, right? Because it's saying that all fat people would eat all the food. And that's stereotyping, right? That's stereotyping. It was easier to meet thin women. Good point. Right. This to Blasphemous. Alright, I'll look at it as well. Oh, wow. When does it become fat shaming? Wait. What is discriminatory? Yeah. Discrimination. There we go. Yeah, discrimination. It becomes a problem. Discrimination based on prejudice. That is when it's become a problem. What does become fat shaming? I mean, fat shaming is... It's like when you say mean stuff to someone about them being fat, right? Not it like... You can discriminate, you can have prejudice without fat shaming, right? I don't want to invite fat people to the barbecue. That's not fat shaming, that's just prejudice and discrimination. Right. So, how far did you get with her? Second base. Wait, which one is that? Below the waist, but not under the clothes? I think that's shortstop. You should try crossing the pitcher's mound, then lie down in the 50-yard line and right past her 10-pin. Sounds tricky. Yeah, last time I tried it I got a red flag, if you know what I mean. I really don't. Oh wow. The base metaphor explained? Oh, is this real? Eye contact? Passing notes? Virginity? Maginot line? Teens? Sharing. What is all this? I mean, I don't know baseball, so it's like, I have no idea what's going on. Somebody throws the ball, you hit the ball, and then you run around, right? That's the rules. So this is first base. All right. So if you shoot long enough, if you shoot a good shot, you got to kissing. And then, if you run even further, You progress to second base, hand under the shirt and or licking. I once got to second base with a basketball player. She was so confused. Nice. Basketball. Third base, oral sex. Formally, hands in the pants. Alright. All of this stuff is just fursuits. Fursuits crotchless. Napoleon's forces. Wow. Very weird stuff. They're making fun of the first base, second base, third base descriptions of sexual acts. Yeah, I got that. And that it's confusing, right? Which makes sense to me that it's confusing. Blasphemous says, if you hate a person, you throw the ball at them at 100 miles per hour. That one was pretty good. I didn't get that one. Wouldn't you always want to throw the ball? Alright. What time is it? How long have we gone? 2.5 hours? Right, we've been talking a lot of other stuff. How far are we? Actually, since we're at a highlight, let's play some RuneScape. Yeah. Continue this tomorrow.